5 spine-chilling real cases of haunted mysteries exposed by forensic medical experts. Dr. Lisa Harper had been a forensic medical expert long enough to know there are places in the world where evil lurks just below the surface. Her suburban town of Oakwood Drive once painted a picture of serenity, where jogging neighbors smiled and kids giggled while riding their bikes. But that peace began to crumble as whispers of disappearances swept through the air like a chilling fog. First, it was the little girl who vanished. Months later, a single father's unsettling absence. Both were last seen near a few perfectly manicured homes she passed daily. The sound of laughter now twisted into echoes of alarm as her world skewed into disarray. Late one evening, after a long day of work, Lisa received a string of ghostly phone calls. She clutched her cell phone tightly, heart racing as a voice crackled through the line, screaming for help. A moment later, a shrill silence filled the air. It happened again and again. Were these simply prank calls? Or something more sinister? Each ring heightened her unease. Night after night, the shadows danced through her windows like they're taunting her with secrets she was too terrified to know. When Lisa took her daughter, Emily, to the local park, she blinked, trying to shake off the heavy dread that sat in her stomach. Then came the whispers. "Did you hear about the house on the corner?" A neighbor murmured, nervous glances darting toward Lisa. "They say if you make a promise and betray your family, the spirit haunts you." Lisa quickly brushed it off. But now those words clawed at her. The stories twisted in her mind like a broken record, echoing until they became a chorus chanting betrayal. Now, as she scrolled through the news, an unsettling thought burrowed itself deep into her consciousness. These were not isolated incidents. As she pieced together the puzzle, it became clear the neighborhood council had a grip on the truth. Odd agreements, hushed voices. Lisa's instincts screamed. The insincerity dripped from their smiles. They were a facade, shrouded in a web thicker than she could imagine. Each day revealed more, revealing the rot under their cheerful exterior. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The wind howled ominously as storm clouds gathered, casting her home into darkness. The lights flickered, and Lisa felt her sanity slip. Each gust rattling the window sent prickles of dread crawling across her skin. Then the messages arrived, cryptic and chilling, hinting at a danger closing in. Emily's innocent laughter was now tinged with an unnerving tone, her texts painting vivid imagery of unseen horrors lurking close. Just as dawn began to break, she stood frozen, heart racing as a familiar voice called her name, echoing from the usually safe confines of her home. "Mom!" But when she turned to find Emily, the door slammed shut behind her with a deafening thud, trapping her. In that moment, she realized the stories were no longer folklore. They were warnings meant to protect her from the very darkness she toyed with. What lay on the other side of that door? Fear seized her soul, and she felt time slipping away. Would she face the haunting truths? Or would she vanish like those before her? Just another shadow among those endless secrets? The door held its ominous position, as if it had become a creature of its own, keeping her from what lay beyond. Just moments earlier, when Emily's voice rang through her ears, Lisa had felt a brief flicker of hope. Now dread clutched her heart. The echoes around her seemed to thicken, voices merging into a cacophony of despair. What was happening to her? "Emily!" she screamed, pounding on the door, but her voice only returned to her as a ghostly whisper. The unsettling weight in her stomach tightened. She stepped back, desperately contemplating the darkness that loomed behind her. The familiar shadows, once comforting in their simplicity, transformed into sinister figures, lurking just beyond her sight. Then came a soft tap, like a fingernail against wood. It seemed to beckon her, coaxing her to listen. She strained to hear, heart racing. It was low, almost a sigh, but undeniably a voice. The spectral tones sent shivers down her spine. "Help me," it breathed, Swallowing her fear, Lisa turned toward it. The hallway stretched out before her, dimly lit by flickering sconces, casting shadows that warped and twisted, like dancers caught in an unholy ritual. "Is that you, Emily?" she called hesitantly, her voice quavering with a fragility she didn't recognize. But the answer was chillingly silent. Goosebumps rose on her skin as she advanced deeper into the darkness, each step echoing ominously, reverberating against the wooden floors. The storm outside intensified, slamming rain against the windows, making the world outside a blurry mess. The howling wind joined in the eerie symphony, a whispering promise through the cracks of her home. She had to pull herself together. She had to find Emily. As Lisa made her way, she could have sworn she saw fleeting silhouettes darting just beyond her line of vision. The anxious energy thickened, coiling around her like a serpent. Every flicker of movement sent her heart into a panic. This was not just an ordinary night. Something was watching, something sinister. Suddenly, the house groaned, and the power surged back briefly, casting everything in a stark light. Lisa froze. She looked around. The walls seemed to shift, contorting as if alive. There, a flicker of movement caught her eye from the end of the hallway. "Emily!" she yelled again, her voice thick with desperation. A small figure appeared at the edge of her vision and she rushed forward, adrenaline surging. But it flickered again, vanishing in a whisper of shadows. Where was she? Confusion clouded her mind. Was this the evil many spoke of in hushed tones around the neighborhood? Was it connected to the whispers of betrayal? The lies? An invisible wave of fear surged through her, clammy fingers gripping her throat, stifling her breath. Just then, pulsating images invaded her thoughts. Each missing person's face flashed before her eyes. They had all been parents, and she was one of them now. The bond of a mother flashed like a neon sign, beckoning her. She couldn't end like them. Not like this. Lisa gritted her teeth, determination pouring through her veins despite her fear. It was time to confront the heart of the haunting chaos. She walked towards the darkened living room, pushing through the last veil of hesitation. With every step solidifying her resolve, she caught her breath, feeling a surge of unexpected strength. But as the air thickened, shadows twisted even closer, wrapping around her. She could feel the pressure bearing down, sinking into her thoughts. You cannot flee from betrayal. It wasn't just a voice. It was a chorus, blending into one ghastly proclamation. Then everything stopped. The world fell silent. Only the hallmark of her rapid heartbeat echoed through the eerie stillness, resounding like a taunting drum. What lay before her in the gathering darkness? She didn't have the answers, but she carried the weight of 100 lost souls. And then, a shuddering breath broke the quiet. "Mom?" came Emily's soft voice, frilier than she remembered. "Emily, where are you?" Lisa called, but the silence returned. After a heartbeat of dread, she realized she was not alone. What was waiting for her in the dark? Would she find Emily, or succumb to the dark promises hovering around her? Everything hinged on the next decision she made, and the clock was ticking. Lisa's heart raced, each beat echoing like a gunshot in the silence. "Emily?" she repeated, voice trembling, feeling as if the shadows themselves were leaning in, listening. Was it a trick? A cruel joke played by the unseen? The air felt heavier now, charged with a dark energy. Shadows swirled and thickened, fusing into twisted shapes just beyond her peripheral vision. She forced herself to step forward, desperate to reach her daughter. "Where are you?" she whimpered, eyes darting around the room, searching desperately. Without warning, the lights flickered again before plunging them into darkness. Panic constricted her throat, and she stumbled, fingers brushing against the walls for balance. Memories of laughter and light flashed in her mind, taunting her. Was she really going to lose the most precious part of her life? A sharp breath escaped her lips as she recalled where she last saw Emily. The attic. "I have to go," she whispered to herself, squaring her shoulders. She wouldn't give up. She had to believe her little girl was somewhere safe. Shivering, Lisa found the staircase that led up to the attic. Each creak felt like a warning, like the house itself was daring her to ascend. She moved slowly, glued to every sound, a distant scratching, a whisper like a sigh that traveled through the air, prickling her skin. When she finally reached the attic door, she hesitated. Unease gnawed at her. The door felt icy to the touch, as if guarding secrets buried in decades of darkness. Gathering her courage, she pushed it open. The attic was a wreck of worn boxes and dust-coated furniture. It smelled musty, ripe with decay and loss. "Emily?" she called, her voice barely rising above the pounding in her ears. No response. Just the echo of her question bouncing back like a cruel specter. Cautiously, she stepped inside, the floorboards groaning beneath her weight. Shadows slithered along the slanted walls, and as her eyes adjusted, she caught sight of a small, worn teddy bear perched on a cracked windowsill. It was Emily's, the one she lost months ago. "Sweetheart," Lisa breathed, lunging forward. But the moment she reached for it, the attic plunged into darkness again, the kind of dark that numbed the senses and sent a chill straight through her bones. The air turned electric, and Lisa held her breath, straining to hear something, anything. And then that voice again. "Mom, help me," came from behind her. Fear flooded her veins as she turned. The shadows began to coalesce, forming a figure that was unmistakably Emily. But it was not her daughter as Lisa remembered. The edges of the figure blurred, flickering as if it were losing shape. "Emily!" Lisa gasped, heart stuttering. But as she reached out, she felt a sudden coldness, like fingers brushing against her arm. An icy grip filled with despair. "You shouldn't have come," it whispered, the voice now echoing but warped, deep and terrifying. Panic surged within her. Lisa recoiled. "What do you mean?" It felt as if the walls were closing in on her, as a cacophony of whispers echoed violently through the air. "Help me, Mommy," the figure pleaded, but its eyes were empty, hollow voids that reflected no warmth, only dread. Lisa's mind raced, her body screaming for her to flee, but her heart was anchored. She had to know what this apparition meant. She had to find Emily, no matter the cost. Were the whispers begging for assistance rooted in truth or betrayal? Please, the ghostly figure gazed through Lisa, and for a fleeting moment, Lisa saw memories, happiness, laughter, love. But they twisted, darkened until they morphed into something vile, something sinister. The house shook as if it were alive, walls vibrating, the air screaming with energy. "You can't save her," the voice hissed. Lisa staggered back, desperation clawing at her. "I won't give up," she screamed. In that moment, everything condensed into a singular, horrifying thought. Was this a true echo of her daughter, or something far worse, luring her deeper into the very heart of malevolence? And as the darkness clenched tighter around her, Lisa knew that no matter what, she had to make a choice, the choice that could lead her back to the love of her life or to an eternal abyss filled with horror. What would she choose? The clock was ticking, and the shadows had begun to gather their strength. Lisa felt the air tighten around her, a noose made of shadows and whispers. The figure flickered again, its edges dissolving into the dark. Was this what they meant by evil? She mustered every ounce of resolve and pushed forward, driven by the urgency of her instincts. "Emily, I'm coming." The words tasted bitter and defiant on her tongue. But the room was silent, a suffocating void stretching out before her. The chilling sensation in her gut whispered doubts. Each step sent vibrations through the wooden floorboards, a frantic heartbeat of the house itself. Shadows danced, pulling away as she drew near, teasing her with the idea that something lived behind them. "Help me," the plea drifted again, this time urging her forward. But Lisa could hear the mocking undertone, a promise wrapped in deception. "What do I do?" she murmured, pushing aside fear woven deep in her core. The attic's air grew thick, pressing against her lungs. She turned back to the apparition, now solidifying into the semblance of a childish form but blank and hollow, the light and life all sucked away. "Why are you trying to trick me?" Lisa's voice cracked, desperation seeping through the cracks of her bravado. The figure shuddered in response. A shadow of what could have been. "Mommy, please," it urged, reaching out, an invitation that felt like an impending curse. But Lisa hesitated. The eyes void of light stared into her, stripping bare her hope, revealing the cavernous abyss behind. A sudden crash rippled through the attic like thunder, jars of trinkets shattering against the floor, an explosion of sound that sliced through the tension. Lisa jumped back, her heart racing as the air hung heavy with dust. "Emily!" she cried out, searching frantically for some sign of her daughter amidst the chaos. And then she saw it. In the corner, partially obscured by shadows, a faint glimmer, an old photo frame lay on the floor, cracked but somehow still intact. Curiosity overtook her instinct to flee, and she crouched down, reaching for it. As she lifted it, the face of her daughter beamed back, framed in a world of bright colors and joys. But around it, dark figures loomed in the backdrop, shifting. Lisa's breath caught as she realized they were haunting silhouettes, a reflection of the very shadows creeping around her. An impossible thought wrapped around Lisa's mind. Was this photo taken here? The whispers intensified, clawing at her brain, the atmosphere electric, crackling like a storm, the house seeming to pulse with an unspeakable rage. "You're here because they brought you," the figure argued, its voice sharp like glass. "Who?" Lisa gasped, looking back at it. "What are you talking about?" "Those who still haunt this place. You must go or they will take you too." Fear twisted painfully inside her. She could feel the darkness wrapping tighter, threatening to consume her. "No, I can't leave without Emily." The sudden realization dawned. The shadows weren't just walls, they were barriers forged by pain and loss, encapsulating some sinister truth she couldn't yet see. "Then you choose this," the figure began to dissolve, the chilling words hanging in the air. "No, don't go. Tell me what to do." But the only answer was silence, a crushing vacuum as everything began to fade. The shadows around her surged violently, growing teeth, stretching arms as if ready to claim her soul. Clutching the frame tighter, Lisa yelled, "I want let them take me." But as the dark swallowed the attic, she knew one thing. She was running out of time. What awaited her in the overwhelming pit of torment? What kind of forces had drawn her back to this curse? Before she could grapple with those thoughts, the world dissolved. Almost as if she were yanked suddenly into another realm, she felt weightless, as if she'd slipped into a dream suspended between nightmares and reality. No turning back now. Then, a loud echo rang through her mind. "Help me, Mommy," and the echo paled in comparison to the sinister laughter that followed. Lisa gasped as the laughter wrapped around her like an icy grip, pulling her deeper into the vortex of shadows. The echo of her daughter's plea faded, leaving a chilling void that pulsated with despair. Every instinct screamed at her to escape, to claw her way back to the light, but the oppressive darkness felt thick and suffocating, as if it were alive. She stumbled forward, the ground shifting beneath her with each hesitant step. "Emily, where are you?" Her voice wavered, swallowed by the thick air, mixing with a low, vibrating hum that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. Suddenly, a flash of light broke through the darkness, a shimmering doorway, just ahead. Lisa felt a pull toward it, a flicker of hope lighting her core. With trembling hands, she reached for it, each step heavy with the weight of dread. "It's a trap," the warning echoed in her mind, the words of the figure haunting her. But the thought of Emily anchored Lisa. Whatever trap lay ahead, she could not turn back now. The light grew brighter, blindingly vivid, like an old film reel bursting into color. Shadows flickered at the edges, whispering secrets, some painful, others mocking. Just as she neared the threshold, a chilling wind swept through, wrapping around her, reminding her she was not alone in this nightmare. "Help me, Mommy," a frightened voice surged from the depths of the void. Lisa's heart twisted. Was it Emily, or the beast that lurked in the shadows, playing with her desperation? "Emily, I'm coming," she cried out, the determination clashing with the fear thrumming through her veins. As she crossed the threshold, the scene transformed. She found herself standing in a room, familiar yet alien. It was a reflection of the attic, but the walls were adorned with peeling wallpaper, revealing grotesque paintings, a dance of despair caught in time. There stood her daughter, pale and anxious, with wide, searching eyes. "Mommy!" Emily's voice trembled, filled with both relief and terror. Lisa surged forward but was halted by an unseen force, a bitter, gnawing dread coiling around her heart. "You shouldn't have come here, why?" Lisa breathed, fear creeping back in. "What do you mean?" Emily's form flickered, wavering like a candle in the wind. "They want you. They want to keep you with them," she whispered, her eyes darting to the dark corners of the room. "No, Emily. You can't let them take you too." Lisa fought against the invisible bonds, every muscle straining to reach her child, but it was like running in molasses. And then the first of the dark figures emerged, tall and twisted, with hollow eyes fixated on her, emanating a menacing energy that sent shivers down her spine. "Welcome back, Mama," it sneered, the voice gravelly and drenched in malice. The figure smiled with the promise of suffering, flesh stretching around its jagged teeth. Lisa's heart raced. "Get away from her. You can't have us," she shouted, desperation rippling through her voice. Emily stepped back, pulling away. "Mommy, they're coming. Please." The shadows extended fingers toward Lisa as more figures materialized from the walls, their forms jarring and wrong, a grotesque mockery of human shape. The whispers climbed in intensity, feeding off her panic, filling her ears with threats and laughter. The room shifted again, the light pulsing as if to warn her. "You must leave now," the childlike voice commanded. Clarity rushed back amidst the chaos. "No, I won't abandon you." But as she took a step toward Emily, the darkness surged, swallowing her hope. Thorns pierced at her side, root-like tendrils wrapping around her ankles, dragging her down. "Help me, Mommy!" The shadows began to consume her, the laughter echoing mercilessly, and Lisa realized, in that horrific moment, what she truly faced: an eternity of despair. Then, just when she thought it was over, the laughter fractured into screams. A portal opened, the room flickered once more, revealing fragments of her life before this darkness. Faces of loved ones, memories she couldn't let go of, and among them, she glimpsed a flicker of Emily, her hand reaching for her. "Choose!" The shadows howled, the choice hanging in the air, as Lisa felt the weight of the abyss pulling her in and the doorway of memories began to close. What would she sacrifice to save her child? Would she risk it all, or would she fall deeper into the consuming night? And the mocking laughter echoed once more, promising her that the choice was never hers to begin with. Lisa felt her heart hammering against her chest, a primal fear coursing through her veins. The portal swirled like a tempest, memories flashing too quickly to grasp. Faces, moments, love, each represented an anchor to the light. Yet the darkness around her gripped her tighter, and the choice loomed over her like a guillotine. "Choose!" the shadows hissed, their voices a hellish choir mingling with laughter. It wasn't just about Emily anymore. It was about her, too. The shadows licked at her ankles, promising torment in exchange for her spirit, her very essence. With a final scream of defiance, Lisa lunged toward the flickering images of her past. "I refuse. You will not take me." The words were as much a question as they were a vow. Could she really break free? Was this despair truly her fate? As she surged forward, memories flashed before her: Emily's first steps, the day she learned to ride a bike, birthdays filled with laughter. But those joyous moments twisted and deformed, a ghastly art show. Now, they wore the grotesque auras of the shadowy figures that surrounded her, distorting them into something sinister, something that turned celebration into sorrow. "No, I won't let you twist my memories," Lisa shouted, desperation fueling her resolve. She fought against the pull of the abyss. The laughter morphed into a cacophony of anguish, echoing through her mind, threatening to drown her in despair. Emily's presence flickered like a dying flame. "Mommy, please, it's too late." Her voice wavered, tears shining in her wide eyes, begging Lisa to reconsider. The shadows surged around them, whispering promises of eternal companionship twisted with suffering, bonds forged in pain. But Lisa couldn't relent. Fear mingled with fierce love. "I will find you, Emily. Always." The warmth of the memories surged through her, the bonds of love wrapping around her like a shield as she pulled back from the darkness. Suddenly, the figures shrieked, their visages contorting in rage. "You dare defy us?" The shadows coiled violently around Lisa, reaching for her soul, but she felt a break. The darkness within her heart began to shatter. In one desperate act, she thrust herself into the portal, forcing aside any doubts. She pushed through and clung to the light, yelling with every ounce of her strength, her voice shaking the foundations of the cursed room. "I choose life. I choose love." The portal pulsed, light engulfing her, summoning every memory, every ounce of happiness she had ever held on to. With a violent crash, the shadows shrieked, their clawed hands retreating as the light intensified, pushing them back into the dark void. Lisa was hurled through the doorway, tumbling into the familiar warmth of the attic, gasping for breath. The air was thick with dust, the light streaming through the window. Everything felt achingly real yet terrifyingly fragile. But as she staggered to her feet, disoriented, a chilling realization settled over her. The whispers didn't vanish. They lingered like a ghostly echo. "You cannot escape, you belong to us." Lisa turned slowly, her insides churning with fear, as she noticed the silhouette lurking in the corner of the room. It was no longer just shadows. It had a shape, a face. Emily stood beside it, her eyes wide with horror. "Mommy, you brought it back." Fear clawed at Lisa's throat as she faced the reality that the darkness hadn't just been warded off. It had followed her into the light. What had she unleashed? With the walls shifting, shadows began creeping back into her sanctuary, their fingers stretching for her once more. The warmth of the light flickered, dimming against the rising tide of darkness. As chaos surged back, Lisa realized she was now not just a mother fighting for her child. She was unwittingly a key player in a game far darker than she could have imagined. And the laughter echoed again, this time mingled with whispers that promised something more, something terrifying. The night was far from over. What awaited them in the shadows beyond the walls? The room seemed to shrink around Lisa, the oppressive darkness breathing heavily, filling every corner. The once familiar attic had transformed into a suffocating prison, where shadows writhed like snakes, coiling tighter with each passing moment. Her heart raced, each beat a drum of impending doom. "Mommy!" Emily cried, backing away from the figure, her small body trembling. The entity, revealing its true form, stood tall and fell into a grotesque posture, a silhouette with dimly glowing eyes that pierced through the dimness like knives. It didn't just lurk, it loomed. "Leave her alone!" Lisa shouted, panic clawing at her throat. She wanted to reach for Emily, to pull her close, but the shadows danced between them, a swirling vortex of terror. The whispers intensified, a chorus of souls lost, each voice dripping with malice. "You should have given in, Lisa. You should have chosen." Lisa surged forward, the impulse fierce despite the terror settling in her bones. "Stop! You have no power over us." But with each word, the darkness retaliated, the shadows stretching out, clawing at her in angry desperation. They tore at her memories, ripping apart those joyful moments with Emily, reducing them to shards of pain. Something cold gripped her heart, whispering doubts that clawed their way through her thoughts. A flicker of hope fought through the encroaching darkness as Lisa locked eyes with Emily. "We will get through this together." She reached for the light that remained, that flickered within her. For a moment, the room brightened, and the shadows retreated slightly, hesitating. Yet the form in the corner only grinned, a wide, unsettling smile devoid of warmth. "How quaint. You think hope can save you?" The voice was smooth, oozing with a sinister delight, resonating deep within Lisa's bones. With newfound resolve, she focused on the memories, their moments spent laughing in the park, the quiet evenings when they read together, the warmth of hugs that felt like an impenetrable fortress against all sorrow. They flooded her mind, vibrant and full of life. "You can't take these from me," she cried defiantly, as if in response, The shadowy figure lunged forward, the ground trembling beneath its weight. The air thickened with dread, wrapping around Lisa like a shroud. She took a step back, but not out of fear. This was a step forward into the light that flickered inside, burning brighter in her chest, fueled by love. "Mommy, don't!" Emily screamed, her voice trembling as she pressed herself against the wall, her eyes wide with terror. Shadow tendrils lashed out towards her. "Stay back," Lisa shouted, placing herself between Emily and the encroaching darkness. The walls pulsed as though alive, closing in around them. The air crackled with electricity. "Foolish. You'll only prolong your suffering," the figure hissed, its face twisting in fury. Shadows rippled violently, like a thunderstorm brewing within the confines of the room. Lisa felt her heartbeat quicken as the shadows writhed in anger, dark figures clawing at the edges of her vision. But in that moment, she knew what to do. Focusing all her determination, she braced herself against the weight of despair pushing down on her. "We are stronger than this," she shouted, and she reached deep inside, pulling forth every shred of love she felt for her daughter. The room erupted in a surge of light, illuminating impossible depths of the attic, as the dark entity shrieked in rage, unraveling before them. Shadows fought against the light, but the brilliance was overwhelming. "Mommy!" Emily's voice rang clear, breaking through the chaos. Suddenly, the lights flickered darkness and light wound together, a terrifying clash as Lisa held her ground, weighing the fierce love for her daughter against the overwhelming dread of the unknown. But the figure, not yet vanquished, stretched out its hand, a single chilling whisper reaching her ears. "You cannot escape what waits in your heart." As the room spiraled into darkness once more, Lisa's resolve shifted. What awaited them on the other side of this darkness? Could they conquer this fear together, or were they destined to be forever ensnared in the shadows? The darkness crashed against them like a wave, swallowing the once vibrant attic. Lisa felt the heat of her own breath, sharp and panicked. Shadows coiled around her, squeezing tight like an iron grip, and she struggled to inhale. Emily was right behind her, their bodies pressed together, seeking comfort and safety. "Mommy, what is happening?" Emily's voice trembled, torn between fear and a desperate need to understand. The little girl clutched the hem of Lisa's shirt like it was a lifeline, pulling her closer. "It's okay, sweetheart," Lisa whispered, mostly to reassure herself. "We're going to be okay. Just hold on to me." But in that moment, the flicker of their light began to dim. The entity's laughter echoed around them, a mocking sound that filled the air with thick dread. "Hope is just a flicker, Lisa, a false flame in the shadow of truth." Its voice slithered through the darkness, curling around her thoughts, twisting the love she fought to protect into fear. The memories Lisa had drawn on before began to flicker like dying embers, overshadowed by the entity's sinister presence. Images of warm days in the sun turned to shadows, laughter now a distant memory drowned out by the oppressive whispers of despair. "Just give in," it urged, the weight of its presence suffocating. "You'll see. You both will join me." "No," Lisa screamed, forcing back the tide of doubt, her fists clenched tight. "You don't control us." In that cry surged the pulse of her love, igniting a flare of defiance. The shadows recoiled briefly, momentarily startled by her ferocity. Taking a step forward, Lisa held Emily's hand. "We have something you don't a reason to fight." The ground beneath shifted dangerously, the floorboards creaking ominously, threatening to splinter. The entity lurched closer, its glowing eyes narrowing. "You think love can shield you? I feast on despair." Suddenly, Emily gasped. "Mommy, look." She pointed towards the far wall where a thin crack split the wood. A soft glow emanated from within, pulsing like a heartbeat, strong and steady. The shadows recoiled from the light, like cockroaches exposed to the sun. Lisa's heart raced. "There, we can reach it. Are you sure?" Emily faltered, the tremor still evident in her voice, but a hint of determination sparked in her eyes. "We have to try," Lisa replied, wrapping her arm around Emily's shoulders. They started towards the glow, fear clawing at their minds, but emboldening each step. With every move, the whispers grew louder, angry and frantic. Fools! You will regret this. The entity charged, shadows whipping around them, swirling like a tornado. Faster! Lisa urged, pulling Emily along, the glow becoming brighter, illuminating their path as it fought against the darkness. Just steps away now, Lisa could sense the warmth of the light wrapping around her like a protective embrace. The shadows screeched, slashing at them, but the glow pushed them back, slicing through the despair like a knife through fog. With a final desperate surge, they sprang forward into the light, engulfed in radiance. A deafening silence enveloped them, as if time itself paused. But as Lisa opened her eyes, shock gripped her. They weren't in the attic anymore. The room around them was eerily familiar but filled with unsettling artifacts. Pictures of her family hung on the walls, but their faces were twisted, contorted with pain. "Mommy?" Emily's voice quivered, echoing through the silence. The soft light danced around them, but the palpable sense of dread returned. "What is this place?" Lisa gasped, trying to make sense of their surroundings. She felt a cold hand clasp around her heart, an unshakable indication that the shadows had merely bided their time, lying in wait. Before she could voice her fears, a new whisper slithered through the air, chilling her to the bone. Welcome home. What awaited them in this new realm? Was this escape, or merely a deeper layer of the nightmare? The light pulsed softly, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. Lisa gripped Emily's hand tightly, her heart racing as the whisper echoed again, coiling insidiously around them. Welcome home. The words felt alive, seeping into the very fabric of their reality. It was a taunt, a confirmation that they were not safe, that this place was a trap. Lisa glanced around. Each photograph on the wall felt like a cold stare, a witness to her turmoil. These faces her family looked grotesque, as if misery and despair had been etched into their features. "Mommy, I'm scared," Emily whimpered, her voice trembling, and Lisa felt the tug of fear wrap around her heart. She didn't know what to say, how to comfort her. This wasn't their home. This was a twisted mockery of it. "We'll find a way out," Lisa managed, though doubt creased her brow. She took a step forward, the wooden floor creaking beneath her, echoing her anxious thoughts. A sickening feeling settled in her stomach. She could almost hear the entity's laughter, lurking in the corners, waiting for its moment. As they moved deeper into the room, the glow from earlier flickered, casting shadows that seemed to extend and reach for them. With every step, Lisa sensed the presence drawing closer, the air thick with a sense of predatory anticipation. "We have to find the exit," she urged, her voice steadying even as her insides churned. "Look," Emily pointed to a door at the far end of the room, its surface scratched and worn. A flicker of hope surged within Lisa, but it was quickly swallowed by the oppressive atmosphere. The door was ajar, as if inviting them in, beckoning with dark promises. "Are you ready?" Lisa asked, forcing her voice to remain calm. Emily nodded, though fear was etched on her small face. Just as they approached the door, a sudden chill swept through the room. The entity's laughter vibrated through the very walls. "Where do you think you're going?" it hissed, the shadows swelling, morphing into dark tendrils that crept along the floor toward them. Panic clawed at Lisa's throat. She lunged for the door and pulled Emily close, her pulse racing as the tendrils lunged at them, winding around their ankles like snakes. "No, not again." With all her might, Lisa jerked free and surged toward the door. It swung open with a heavy creak, revealing darkness beyond, a void that seemed to swallow the glow behind them. "Mommy, I don't want to go," Emily cried, tugging back. "We have to," Lisa shouted, feeling the tendrils tighten around her, pulling her back like a vice. In a moment of sheer instinct, she wrapped her arms around Emily and dove through the door, each second stretching into an eternity as they were engulfed by the consuming blackness. The shift was instantaneous. They landed on cold stone, gasping for breath, the echoes of the entity's rage fading behind them. The air was thick, stagnant, but vast. Lisa looked around. They were in a cavern steeped in darkness, shards of cold light peeking through cracks in the ceiling, casting eerie shapes on the ground. "What is this place?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling once more. The shadows were not as aggressive here, but they felt ever-present, lurking, waiting. Lisa drew in a shaky breath as she took in their new surroundings. A faint glimmer caught her eye, something shiny caught in the rubble, not the kind of sparkle that comforted, but one that dripped with foreboding. As she edged closer, Emily clutched her arm, terror tightening her grip. "Mommy, I feel like we're not alone." The shiny object revealed itself as a necklace, the same one Lisa lost years ago. Shouldn't he have been here? The memories slid over her skin like frost. She picked it up, feeling the chill radiating through the silver. "Something's watching us." Emily's voice trembled. The shadows shifted again, thicker, swirling. The laughter returned, this time from all directions, swirling around them as though the darkness had come alive. And then the whisper returned, sharper, clearer. "You cannot escape the past. Lisa, it is time to face what you ignored." A low growl reverberated through the cavern, shaking the very ground beneath them, forcing Lisa to grasp Emily tightly. What dark truths awaited them in the abyss? Would they finally confront the horror lurking just beyond their memories? Lisa steadied herself, breathing heavily. The cavern walls seemed to pulse with the shadows lingering just beyond her sight. She held Emily close, feeling her warmth but also the tremors of fear that ran through her small body. "We have to keep moving," she whispered, trying to muster confidence in her wavering voice. "Mommy, I'm scared," Emily replied, looking up with wide eyes that mirrored the darkness. Lisa felt a knot of dread in her stomach twist tighter. "I know, sweetheart, but we can't let them, whatever this is, hold us here." Together, they stepped deeper into the cavern, guided only by the weak shafts of light that penetrated the stone ceiling. The shadows seemed to swell and twist, whispering, taunting Lisa with memories she wished to forget. They hovered just out of reach, like a constant reminder of her greatest fears. "Lisa," the voice slithered through the darkness, cold and insidious. "You bring your pain with you everywhere. It is your burden to bear." The oppressive weight seemed to engulf them, and the shadows thickened. With each step, the echoes of Lisa's past grew louder, reminding her that day, that moment when she lost something she could never retrieve. "Mommy, please." Emily's small voice cut through the haze. Lisa paused. Panic seized her heart. She turned, forcing herself to smile, to be the bastion of strength. "Stay close to me, honey. No matter what happens, I won't let anything happen to you." But the shadows danced with malicious glee, forging images of despair, wrapping around her mind's eye each loss, each sorrow, each fearful moment woven tightly like a noose. "Can't you feel it, Lisa? The past is always present, creeping up like the night," the voice taunted. "Stop it," Lisa screamed, her voice rising above the whispers, steeling herself. "You don't control me." She pressed forward, eyes focused on a glimmer of light. Fueled by desperation, she willed herself to go toward it. A glow beckoned, flickering before her like a lighthouse in the storm, pushing through the fear's grasp. "Mommy!" Emily grasped her hand tighter, a little anchor in the tumult of shadows. As they approached the light, it burst forth, illuminating a hidden alcove. Within it lay a magnificent mirror, its frame woven with ornate symbols that seemed almost alive. The surface shimmered, reflecting not only their images but deeper, within the memories of laughter, love moments they had cherished. "Look," Emily pointed, hope illuminating her small face. "It's us." But as Lisa peered closer, she saw the distortions in the reflections, the same grotesque figures from the photos, the energy of the shadows twisting realities, threading misery through their joyful memories. The laughter they saw faded into cries, pain warping their happiness. "What's happening?" Emily asked, a tremor in her voice. The entity emerged from the shadows, a towering figure. "You are bound by your choices, Lisa. You cannot escape." Pointed towards the mirror, whispers growing intense. "Face the darkness you thought you buried." A furious growl erupted from the depths of the cavern, shaking the ground beneath them. "Let go of us," Lisa roared, unsure how much longer the light could fend off the darkness. "Your fears are your chains," the voice gravely taunted, "and they will bind you forever." Lisa felt the shadows claw at her mind, draining her resolve, reaching for Emily. She gasped as she felt a cold grip around her heart, a swift reminder of all she had lost, of betrayals she had never forgiven herself for. But then she remembered. Love. The light in Emily's eyes. "Step back," Lisa yelled, pulling Emily behind her. "We don't have to listen to your lies." With every ounce of strength within her, she focused on the memories that filled her. Emily's laughter, their joy, the love that couldn't be extinguished. "We are more than your nightmares." Screaming with defiance, Lisa took a step towards the mirror. The barrier between their realities trembled, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. "We choose to live in our light, and you have no hold over us." At that moment, the shadows lunged. But Lisa grasped Emily's hand, intertwining their fates. "We face this together," she shouted, and the brilliance of their love illuminated the cavern in blinding light. As they surged forward, the dark figure howled, the lament of countless souls tearing through the air. Everything collided: the laughter, the shadows, the light, but Lisa clung to her daughter fiercely. In that instant, a wave of energy exploded, and shadows screamed, cracking into tendrils of despair that shattered around them. Lisa braced herself and Emily as they were enveloped in radiant light, echoing with victory. Then, just like that, the chaos broke, leaving behind an empty silence, glimmering with warmth. The cavern faded, reawakening the attic where it all began, the familiar scent of dust, the afternoon light pouring through the window. They were home. Lisa knelt as they stumbled into the attic, disoriented but safe. "We made it," she breathed, brushing a tear from her cheek. Emily looked around, confusion mingling with uncertainty. "Are we really safe, Mommy?" "Yeah," Lisa whispered softly, gathering her into her arms. "We're free of the darkness." But as the shadows receded, Lisa felt a lingering weight, the memory of the encounter still etched on her heart. "That was all in our heads, right?" Emily asked, gazing around. "Maybe," Lisa replied, holding her daughter tightly, knowing, no matter what, they would face whatever came next together. They stood, breathing in the familiar comfort of their home. As long as they had each other, there was a light that could never be dimmed, a love that conquered the shadows, transforming fear into resilience. In that moment, they both understood. Facing the darkness would always be a part of them, but together, light would always prevail. And outside, as dusk faded into night, the whispers quieted, swallowed whole by the embrace of a mother's love. Lisa smiled at Emily, the shadows finally fading. "Let us get some cookies, okay?" "Yes." Emily's voice rang out, laughter washing over them like sunset rays. As they embraced, Lisa felt the warmth of their bond wrap around them like the soft glow of home, forever a shield against the darkness. As they ventured down the stairs together, Lisa couldn't help but think. The shadows may always linger, but in the light of love, they would always be all right. Now's your moment to ensure the stories keep coming. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive tales. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let your support shine. Flood the comments section, share your reactions and theories about this conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this intense finale. Show you're a true fan by supporting the channel.